Hello again, everyone. My name is Chris Vainella, and welcome back to the movie year that was, a movie year review show where we talk about all the notable movies that came out in the same calendar year. We are in the middle of talking about the movie year that was 1989. So far, we've had two parts of this marathon episode. This year has just been such a big year filled with so many movies in it that it's now on episode 3, and we're not done yet. So we're going to pick up the conversation right where we left off with me and my guest, Edward Schilling, as we soldier on and continue our massive conversation about the movie year that was 1989. The next movie on this list is one that is on it's on your top 10, not on mine, although it's on my honorable mentions from this year, and that is Parenthood, directed by Ron Howard. So you get first dibs on Parenthood. Go ahead.
Yeah, I absolutely love Parenthood. It's a great ride for all. I mean, a stacked cast, a lot of great performances in the cast, and being led by Steve Martin, literally a resurgence for his career. I mean, he hadn't really been doing super well. I mean, he had done things and they were moderate successes here and there, but he kind of faltered off at the beginning of the 80s and sort of started to pick up steam again in the late 80s. And it's emotional, it's funny, it's very, very true to what life is. I'm not a parent myself, but very true to what life is in any family that has a lot of characters in it.
Yeah, they did they did this movie, then they did a spin-off. They spun it off into a television series on NBC, and the TV series has a lot of the same vibe as this movie does. Big family, patriarchal, head of the family. In the movie, he's played by Jason Robards, but in the movie, we have Steve Martin, and Tom Hulce plays his loser brother. Rick Moranis has a great turn in this movie, so that's another great performance from Rick Moranis in this year. Martha Plimpton. Oh, we get our first, not our first, because we talked about this earlier, but we get our second dose of Keanu Reeves. For a long time, I thought that Keanu Reeves' first movie was Parenthood. It turns out we just talked about it. He actually appeared in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure first. But we get a really good Keanu Reeves in this year in this movie.
Miss Buckman, you need a license to buy a dog or drive a car. Hell, you need a license to catch a fish. But don't let any butt-reaming asshole be a father.
Mary Steenburgen is in this movie. Diane Wiest is the only woman who gets nominated for an Oscar for all the people who were in this film. A lot of great performances, and this is probably the closest Steve Martin ever came to getting nominated for an Oscar. I think this is his most Oscar-worthy performance, so because it's his closest thing to like a really dramatic performance, while still being hilariously funny. Steve Martin is married to Mary Steenburgen, and he has a bunch of kids, and one of his kids has kind of like the same emotional problems that he has, where he just can't deal with life's pressures, and he gets very nervous and has not attacks, but he just kind of has these breakdowns, right? I think one of his kids keep having these breakdowns, and the school wants to maybe move him to a different school, they don't want to keep enrolling him because they think he's a problem child. And immediately Steve Martin blames his wife and says she smoked grass while she was pregnant. That's a great
supportive move.
It's so typical. I'm sure that, I never went through this with my kids, thank God, but I can totally imagine being in a principal's office and hearing something bad about your kid and then be like, blaming it on your wife. No, that's her fault. It's all her fault that he's this way.
She smoked grass.
Gil! I never smoked when I was pregnant.
Yeah, but in college you were like a chimney. I thought you were going to join a reggae band. I'm just saying there could have been some chromosome distortion.
Well, You let them do anything. You let them watch TV just like
So we'll
that.
take the
with
TVs
their
out. We'll put
noses
the
right-
TVs in the garbage then, and you and we'll perform more some Shakespeare or some.
So I thought that was wonderful. Steve Martin has so many great moments in this movie. There's a moment when Mary Steenburgen has gotten some advice about how to calm Steve Martin down, and that is to blow him while they're driving, because Rick Moranis' wife in this movie, what's her name? Who's the one who plays Harley Jane Kazak? Plays Rick Moranis' wife in this film, and she tells Mary Steenburgen, the way that I calm him down when we're driving is I'll lean over and I'll blow him. And so she tries to do that to Steve Martin. He's totally caught off guard, and he winds up getting into an accident. He like runs into a television pole, a telephone pole or something. And then the cop comes over and says, "Okay, so how did this happen?" And Steve Martin looks over at his wife and says, "Show him, honey."
I am so sorry.
It's all right, honey. It wasn't my fault. You just kind of took me by surprise.
So, how'd this happen?
Show him, honey.
Such a great moment.
And the moment when he pretends to be not pretends, but he is the cowboy for his son's birthday party is a wonderful moment in the movie.
Cowboy Gil, yeah, that whole
Cowboy
bit is
Gil.
hysterical.
Right, and where he makes the balloon animals, and he says, "This is your lower intestine," and so
I saw Cowboy Dan. I didn't like the look on his face. It was like this. So I killed him. I blew a hole in him this big. Actually, it was about this big. You know, when I think about it, that hole was about this big. Yeah, and his guts were spilled out all over the floor. And as I was walking away, I slipped around on his guts. And a couple other people came by and they started slipping on his guts too. After I blow a hole in somebody and slip around on their guts, afterwards, I always like to make balloon animals. Mighty courteous of you. Your lower intestines.
And the moment at the end where the grandma tells her story about the roller coaster, and you think this is like this really touching moment.
You like it? They went on the merry-go-round. That just goes around. Nothing. I like the roller coaster. You get more out of it.
And then it's the second it's over, Steve Martin goes, "Well, you know what? I was all confused about life, and then Grandma comes in with her freaking roller coaster story, and now everything seems to fall into place."
A minute ago, I was really confused about life, and then Grandma came in with her wonderful and affecting roller coaster story, and now everything's great again.
And then his wife, Mary Steenburgen, just says, "By the way, I happen to think that your mother's a genius. Her grandma's a genius." And he goes, "Oh yeah? If she's such a genius, why is she sitting in her neighbor's car?"
As far as I'm concerned, your grandmother's brilliant. Come on, Taylor. Come on, hurry up.
Yeah, if she's so brilliant, how come she's sitting in our neighbor's car?
Oh,
Great.
it's a fun movie, but it's also a great touching tale of generations, being an adult, being a parent, being a child, being an elderly person who has children of their own and things of that nature, being divorced, being married. So many great slices of life out of that movie where amazing, touching moments come from, and dramatic moments and sad moments and funny moments, all the same thing. It really just pulls all that together and just throws it in one great film.
I still think, for as well received as this movie was, and it has as good a reputation as it has, it's even better than its reputation. I think it may even be underrated for as great
Yeah.
as it's a great family movie about family. It's just about everything: mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, just and husbands and wives. All of that, all of those dynamics are examined and studied in this movie. Funny in a funny way, and in an honest way. And that's why I think this is one of the best movies of this year. And I'm glad you put it on your list. I just have 10 more movies that I like more than it. Otherwise, it would have made it on my list too.
I do love the bit in the dinner scene where they're looking for the flashlight and he ends up pulling out Diane Weist's vibrator and everybody just which is hysterical. And even better when she calls it back for her argument with her daughter, and she says something about, I thought somebody should be having sex with something other than machinery. And she's like, she just has a whole breakdown over that as well.
Right. You know why I have sex with battery, something with battery pop? Because your father decided to go to Mexico, whatever.
Things right here in my house? Well, I thought someone in this house ought to be having sex. I mean, with something that doesn't require batteries.
What did you say to me? God damn it, you get back here! Open this door, God damn it to hell! I would just like a little respect. Not a lot, just a little. Do you know why I'm having sex with machinery? Because your father left to have a party and I stayed to raise 2 kids. And I have no life!
Yeah. It's a great moment on an overall basis.
Then what's his name? Who's the little kid? Joaquin Phoenix, actually.
Yes.
He makes his film debut in this movie. Plays this younger brother, and he comes in, and she says, Martha Plimpton, who plays the daughter, who's fighting with Diane Weist, she says to Gary, his name, Joaquin Phoenix's name, she goes, Gary, I'm moving out. And then Gary says, okay, bye. And he walks away. And then Diane Weist says, look, you're upset your brother.
Todd's working now. We'll find a place to live somewhere.
Hi, Gary.
What? Moving out, Gary.
What? See, you've upset your brother.
That's a good movie.
That's a great film. I'm so happy that one of us put it on our list. All right, the next movie on the list is just from a few days later, actually. The next week after Parenthood came out was The Abyss. And The Abyss is on your top 10 list too. Great movie. Not on my top 10 list, but it's on one of my honorable mention movies. And this is James Cameron, and you get first dibs on, because it's on your top 10 list, for The Abyss.
The Abyss is an amazing film all around. Again, it's a stellar cast all around. Ed Harris is pretty good. He's pretty good in almost anything he does. It's hard to find an Ed Harris movie where he's not good in.
That's true.
But it also being just an entertaining sci-fi film as well, but also a like some very heavy dramatic moments as well. I mean, I honestly, there's not too many films that I can watch a moment and actually feel uncomfortable watching. But the scene where he has to let Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio drown so that he could drag her lifeless body back through the ocean is a hard fucking scene to watch.
I know. I have a fear of drowning, and that's a very hard scene for me to watch. I would never survive that moment.
Yeah.
Don't argue with me, goddammit. Just put it on.
Look, this is not an option, so just forget about it, all right?
Shut up! Put this thing on.
Be logical for 1 second, please. Listen. Just listen to me for 1 second. Now, you've got the suit on, and you're a much better swimmer than I am, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Yes. So I got a plan.
What's the plan?
I drown and you tow me back to the rig.
No.
Yes, this water.
No.
Only a couple of degrees above freezing. Like, going too deep, hypothermia. My blood will go like ice water. Right? My body systems will slow down. They won't stop.
Vince.
You tow me back and I can be revived after maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a moment in the film where you're just like, wow. And also, I'd also point out, I think this is, I believe, one of the first times we massively saw like some CGI in terms of like they would do with, obviously he went on to do with Terminator 2 with it, where we had the tendril of water, that had really not been anything we had seen in a film before. And it all ends up, coming down to just at the end of all this harsh and action-packed story, a story about a man sacrificing himself for the love of his life, which ends up making the aliens see that we have some good in us. And the weird thing about it is the theatrical version is great. The director's cut of it actually brings it to what's going on with the aliens threatening the world is more of a world domination thing. You sort of see that they're going to extinguish the entire populace.
Really, I never saw the director's cut.
Oh yeah, it's really good. I mean, there's giant tidal waves encroaching cities and everything. So
Really?
they've seen us as warlike, and they're just going to destroy us all. So his sacrifice of him going down this hole and ending his life to save other people ends up saving the world of it. So it brings it to a larger scale and a larger amount of jeopardy.
I bet I'd like it even more. I bet I'd like it even more if I saw the director's cut. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also love Michael Biehn is in this as well, and you know, his whole concept of being a Navy SEAL who's going over the edge with nitrogen narcosis problems and becoming more and more paranoid and more psychotic just is a great turn for him, because you don't see him as a villain in many movies, and he's not exactly a villain here, but he does play the heavy in the movie.
Yeah, he comes up a lot in Cameron's filmography, right? He's in he keeps showing up, Terminator and all the other movies that Cameron likes to put him in. He had a good run. He had a good run in the 80s. I think it culminated in this movie. This was the last time we saw him for a while. But he was that guy. That guy meaning that he's an actor that you recognize him for other movies, but you don't know his name.
Yeah.
So I didn't know his name until just a few years ago. I just thought him as that guy. He was that guy from the Terminator. That's why I always thought that he was. But a lot of people don't identify this as one of James Cameron's movies. I unless you really are a big fan of James Cameron. Some people don't associate the two together. Although when you think about the kind of movie that this is, with the special effects and the aliens and the underwater stuff, it's right in his wheelhouse. It's kind of self-contained because it feels smaller because it's all underwater and the set pieces are not as grand. I'm sure they are bigger in the director's cut, but this is a more confined space that we're in for most of the movie. So the movie doesn't have this grand, sweeping, epic scale like the Terminator movies did, or certainly like the Avatar movies do. But it has all the telltale signs of a Cameron big scale sci-fi action movie with a lot of great set pieces and a really good story, actually. And you're right, great performances. Harris and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. They were estranged. They were estranged at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
They're still married, or they divorced?
They still are married. I don't think they've ended up getting to sign the papers. And I mean, like Ed Harris is still wearing his ring and kind of takes it off in front of her because he doesn't want her to think he is wearing it.
Yeah. And they wind up through this adventure, wind up falling back in love with each other again because they save each other's lives, and she obviously doesn't want him to die for her and everything. And so that turns out to be a touching love story. You're right. For all the adventure, it really the thing that gets me and gets most people when they watch this movie is the love story of these two married people finding each other again. Great movie. A lot of really cool stuff. The alien stuff's all cool. The stuff at the end when the ship, where the aliens bring everybody back to the surface, is excellent. All that stuff's great. If you haven't ever seen The Abyss, totally check out The Abyss. It's excellent. Like I said, there's some uncomfortable underwater stuff because you're afraid if you put yourself in the character's position the whole movie, you're afraid you're going to drown the whole time. But other than that, it's a great movie to watch.
Oh yeah, and I will say, like I said, with the director's cut, I mean, it's a weird thing that sometimes a director's cut is usually a director's cut is usually a better film, but this just made the weight of the film that much more impressive. I mean, we go from a story of a man saving his wife to a man saving the world, and you know, it really adds a lot of depth to it and a lot more scenes that are really just big Cameron scenes, you know, like you said, the tidal waves encroaching on like the shores of like California and things of that nature, and they're like massive tidal waves that are clearly wiped like humanity off the face of the earth.
Certainly feels like a bigger movie.
Yeah, it really, you can really feel the Cameron footprint on it when you see the director's cut.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. All right, so the next movie on this section is on your list. This is your second favorite movie of 1989, and that is Uncle Buck. Came out 2 weeks later. 1 week later, 1 week after The Abyss comes out, Uncle Buck, John Hughes movie, which starring John Candy. So,
Yeah.
like I said, this is all you, pal. Uncle Buck.
Again, it's you've got it. You've got just a dynamic duo in the fact that it's a John Hughes movie who was on a huge streak at the time, and you also have John Candy who was also on a huge streak at the time. And he comes off as being charming and funny and odd and quirky, and overall just manages to provide just an excellent comedic performance. He plays well with the younger children.
Yeah,
plays well against with the drama of the older sister, and even the undertones of like the concept that his brother, because he ends up having to take care of his brother's children while his brother's wife, her father had a heart attack, and they go to take care of him.
right.
So even the concept of just the drama of him, having been cut out of that family unit by the wife because she didn't like him, even that, like, even adds a little, not a massive amount of drama to it, but enough drama to it that it gives it an emotional weight to the film.
Yeah, there's a tension there. And when she calls him the first time because she can't find anybody else to sit the kids, his reaction is so funny. Oh yeah, I'll come over and we'll have a sleepover and we'll break out the peanut butter. And she's like, peanut butter? What the? What's this guy gonna do to my kids?
To be honest, sure. I've still got the 1 bedroom. I'm going to get a bigger place. But, hey, they bring their sleeping bags over here. We'll have some fun. We'll make tents and stuff. We'll get some toys and some peanut butter,
It's so funny. The scene where he threatens the older daughter's boyfriend, Bug.
Yes.
Right, with the hacksaw that he has in his trunk. That is a classic bit of comedy there, man.
We can talk about burying the hatchet. You know what a hatchet is, don't you, Bug?
It's an axe?
Sort of, yeah. I got one in the car if you'd like to see it.
A pass.
Fair enough. I like to carry it, You never know when you're going to need it. A situation may come up, say, for example, someone's been drinking and about to drive a loved one home. Then I like to know I have it. Not to kill, no. Just to maim. Take a little off the shoulder. The elbow. Shave a little meat off the old kneecap. Ooh. You got both kneecaps? I like to keep mine razor sharp, too. Sharp enough you can shave with them.
That's a great scene I'll put in here. And then the back and forth between him and Macaulay Culkin. This is one of the first times we ever see Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
In a movie. I don't know if this is his first movie, but no, I don't think it is. I think it was Rocket Ship Gibraltar was, but this is one of his first films, and he has a great back and forth, kind of like an interrogation when he interrogates John Candy. That's a great scene. You got a lot more hair up your nose than my dad. And he goes, thank you for noticing. I'm a kid. That's my job.
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
Want to rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
38.
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
How nice of you to notice.
I'm a kid. That's my job.
I also love it. I think it's got to be one of the classic scenes from the film is when he goes into the vice principal's office to talk about the youngest daughter, and he just literally he hears her out. He hears what she has to say, and that she's a silly heart and a dreamer and all this other stuff. And he's like, "She's 8."
Right. I don't want to know an 8-year-old who isn't a dreamer. If I ever hear about you giving a kid in this school a hard time, I'm going to come back here and whatever he tells her to do. But that's a really great moment in the movie.
She's only 6.
That is not a valid excuse. I hear that every day, and I dismiss it.
I don't think I want to know a 6-year-old who isn't a dreamer or a silly heart. And I sure don't want to know one who takes their student career seriously. But I know a good kid when I see one. Because they're all good kids. Until dried-out, brain-dead skags like you drag them down and convince them they're no good. You so much as scowl at my niece or any other kid in this school, and I hear about it, and I'm coming looking for you. Take this quarter. Go downtown and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face. Good day to you, madam.
He walks in super cool. He walks out super cool. It's his coolest moment of the movie.
It is, yeah. It's just it's a lot of fun all around. And the funny thing is, I've actually introduced it to my nephew, who's 14, and it still holds up well because he still laughed at all the parts.
That's great. That's great. I don't think I've ever. I don't know. My kids are maybe too old at this point to watch this movie, but maybe it's still fun. It's another family fun movie.
Yeah.
This year. I don't know. It's not great. I'm not. I don't want to oversell this film. It's fun and it's good family fun, but it's not really heavy. It's John Hughes. This is one of the lighter John Hughes movies. I think ultimately.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's certainly not the teen angst of some of the other films he's done, but definitely is still in the same footprint.
Yeah, but John Hughes, that was really his lane. I think, as much as he'd like to delve into the teenage angst thing, like you mentioned, his movies were just fun. They weren't supposed to be taken that seriously, I don't think.
Yeah.
All right, so next is this movie was supposed to be taken seriously. This is a Brian De Palma movie called Casualties of War. And not until recently did I even know that Brian De Palma even directed this movie. This is starring Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn. And this is a I want to say Vietnam. This is a Vietnam movie? Were they in Vietnam during this film?
They are in Vietnam. I would have to check, but I'm almost certain that's the case.
Right? And Sean Penn is the platoon leader, and he does some crazy shit. Did they violate one of the Vietnamese women? I think this is not the plot of the film.
He goes way overboard on so many levels. There's that. There's like literally curb stomping a guy's head with no curb to the point. I mean, he's just completely out of control on every level. It's Sean Penn, murder spree for him.
Yeah, right. So, and then Michael J. Fox has to decide whether or not he's going to report him or not, and he tries to deal with that. And this was Michael J. Fox in a real dramatic role. It really wasn't anything funny about this performance. And I think Bright Lights, Big City was before this one. I'm surprised, as a matter of fact, I know it was. But this was not a success for Michael J. Fox. People didn't really buy him in a dramatic role as much as they liked him in comedies. And this movie ultimately doesn't do that great. I think it has a pretty good reputation, but that happened over time. I don't think in 1989 that this was not considered a success that much. Sean Penn was already a well-established, good dramatic actor, right? He wasn't just from when we.
Oh no, yeah. Penn had a number of. He had Taps, and he had Bad Boys prior to that, so he had quite a number of dramatic roles.
And what was the one? What was the one where he was in with Christopher Walken? What's the name of that movie that he was in? Sean Penn with Christopher Walken. Why can't I remember the name of this film? State of Grace.
Yes.
No, At Close Range. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
We did that for the freaking podcast in 1986. Maybe we skipped over it, or maybe I just mentioned it by title. But yeah, I forgot he was in At Close Range with Christopher Walken. That was great. So he had been he was established as a dramatic actor already by 1989. So his performance really does carry the movie. As far as the drama is concerned. And Michael J. Fox, although he's the lead in this movie, doesn't really do it for me and for most people as a dramatic actor. I think he did not do that great. He's better in other movies than this one.
Yeah, I mean, I get it's clearly his attempt to step out of the roles he was well known for and still is well known for. It's a good film. It's a good story. It's a good cast. And on paper, throwing Fox in there to give him a dramatic turn is a great idea. It's a huge risk, but it's a great idea.
Right, because you have Sean Penn and you have Brian De Palma. So how can you miss?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fox, Sean Penn, and Brian De Palma. But Brian De Palma, although he's considered one of the better directors of his generation, along with he's in Spike Lee's generation. We were mentioning before. Yeah. He's one of Lee's contemporaries. I think this was a miss for him at the time.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. And like you said, I think it's gained some respect since then. But it's just he unfortunately, Michael J. Fox is typecast at that point in time already, and he was never going to get past that.
Right. He has a much better movie coming up later, which I don't think we've talked about yet. If we have talked about it, I'll have to edit this part out. But No, we haven't talked about it yet. Okay, so the next movie is Sex, Lies, and Videotape. And this is where Steven Soderbergh really came onto the scene. He had directed a couple of things before this, but this was his most notable film up to date. I don't know if you ever saw Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Did you ever see this movie?
I have not. No.
Okay, well, this is James Spader is this guy who likes to make videotapes of all of his girlfriends, and they don't always have, it's not always sex videos, but he like talks to all these different women, and he talks to them about sex, and he videotapes their discussion. Like he does, like basically does like a sexual interview with all of these different women, and just to getting their take on sex and their sexuality and all that. And that's happening in one part of the story. And the other part, Andy McDowell is the woman that James Spader is interested in. She is married to Peter Gallagher. But Peter Gallagher is having an affair with Laura San Giacomo, who is very beautiful. And I fell in love with her in this movie. This is where I first saw her in anything and instantly fell in love with her. She's very, very sexy in this film. And I want to say that Giacomo plays Andy McDowell's sister. It's possible that they're related in this movie. I think that's how Peter Gallagher meets her in this film. But I can't say that for certain. But this is a landmark film for everybody who's involved, for Spader, McDowell, Gallagher, Giacomo, and of course for Steven Soderbergh, who goes on to a lot of great films that he directs in his career. Notably, he did Crash, he did Traffic, and Aaron Brockovich in the same year in 2000, and got nominated for Best Director. He won Best Director for Traffic in the same year that Aaron Brockovich got nominated for Best Picture. So, but this is where this really starts for him in this movie, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. It's frank. It's like a really raw look about sexuality, and it's not really dirty. There's not actually a lot of sex that happens in this movie, despite the title, but it's very frank, and there's a lot of great conversation. And this was edgy. This is a really edgy movie. And this movie has a great reputation. And if this movie wasn't so, I don't know, I want to say vulgar, but I guess the subject matter is vulgar, because in '89, talking about sex in movies really wasn't a thing that was that commonplace. So it probably didn't get the respect that it deserved because of its subject matter. What do you know? What do you know of this movie? I mean, even if you haven't seen it, what do you know?
Very little, honestly. I mean, I knew it was a James Spader vehicle, and I know it was very critically acclaimed in terms of people, feeling like it was something that had not really been done before. But beyond that, I really don't have anything that I'm familiar with it about.
So the next movie on the list is definitely is the most obscure movie on my list of favorite movies of all time. I have a list. I've said this on this podcast a number of times that I keep a list of my favorite movies of all time. It's like it's a list about 200 movies long. And this movie is 14th. That's how high it ranks in my favorite all-time movies of all the movies I've ever seen. And all the rest of the movies, almost all the rest of the movies on my list are widely seen, highly acclaimed. They have really good reputations or whatever. Just a lot of people have seen them, but not this movie. If I asked 10 people if they've seen this movie, probably almost all of them haven't seen it. So, and anyway, the name of this movie is Let It Ride. And I think I asked you, you have not seen this movie, right? You have not seen Let It Ride?
Yeah, I've not seen it. I don't even think I've even heard of it.
Okay, well, once you see Let It Ride, I think it's one of those movies that once you see it, you're like, oh my God, how did I miss this movie all my life? And you want everybody else to see it because it's such a great feel-good movie. It's a little movie. It's not a big movie, but it's surprising. And well, I guess it's surprising is that it's so good. I guess that's what's surprising about it. But anyway, like I said, it stars Richard Dreyfuss, and he plays a gambler, and he mostly gambles on horse races, and he's not a successful gambler. Obviously, he's he's a loser. Yeah, I guess so. He's a charismatic loser. Anyway, he's promised his wife, played by Terry Garr, that he is going to stop gambling and try to save their marriage, start their marriage over. But that morning, before daybreak, he's a cab driver, so he's been out driving his cab all night. His friend, played by David Johansen, what's his name, Buster Poindexter, David Johansen has been recording people in the back of his cab with a little hidden microphone. And one of the things that he records is two guys talking about a horse race that's going to happen the next day. So anyway, he's playing back this recording, and he thinks he's recording. He thinks he's playing back to Richard Dreyfuss this sex tape, but instead he plays back these two guys talking about this horse race. And Richard Dreyfuss realizes he's just gotten the tip of his life, that he knows ahead of time that this one horse is going to win a race on Saturday, and it's Saturday that day. So despite the fact that he's told his wife that he's going to quit gambling, he goes to the track with his last $100, and they split the money 50-50 between him and his friend, and they're both going to bet this one horse. So anyway, the movie is he wins, obviously, and instead of just taking his money and going home, he lets it ride. That's the premise of the movie. So every time he wins another race, instead of leaving with the money, he keeps letting it ride and letting it ride the entire movie. That's the point of the film. So this does not sound familiar now that I've described it?
No, yeah. No, I know I have not seen this.
Okay. So the thing that's so different about this film is that now that I've told you the premise, if you were to guess what happens in this movie, I think that most people would guess that at some point he's going to lose, right? That he's stupid, and instead of just walking away with his money, eventually he's going to make a bet that he shouldn't and piss away all this money when he has thousands of dollars that he wins from this track to this day, because he keeps doubling and keeps letting all of his money ride on long shots too. And you just keep preparing yourself for him to lose every race. And he keeps winning. He keeps winning this money. And you start doing all the math in your head, and you start thinking, oh my God, he keeps like, he has $2,500 and he puts on a horse 40-1. I mean, what the fuck? So I thought the movie was going to be about him winning and then losing and having to deal with the fact that he wasn't smart enough to just walk away. And his wife Terry Garr, eventually does come down to the track, and the two of them have it out. But the movie just keeps surprising you over and over again. After every race, he just keeps winning, and he keeps winning. And it's very funny. It has a lot of really quotable lines. This movie was not famous, but notable for its trailer. You might remember the trailer for this movie. There's a scene where he wins one of the races, and after he wins this really long shot race to win the tens of thousands of dollars, he jumps up and he steals Sally Field's line from the Oscars when he screams, "God likes me! He really, really likes me!"
God likes me! He really, really likes me! Wow, what a day! What a day! What a fabulous day! Woo! I'm having a fabulous day!
Right? That was the preview. That was in the preview for this film, and it's in the movie. It's a very prominent scene from this film. So I think that even people who haven't seen it might know that trailer. But like I said, I think most people haven't seen this movie. It was not, like I said, it wasn't a big deal. This movie didn't make a lot of money, but this is probably one of the best feel-good movies I've ever watched in my life, by the way, because it has such a great, great ending. And like I said, it makes you feel good all the way through. It's very funny, very charming, and suspenseful too, because you keep wondering if he's ever going to lose one of these races. This movie has a ton of great lines. There's a line at the beginning when David Johansen reminds him, his name is Trotter, right? The main character. And he says, "Trotter, don't you remember you gave up gambling?" And Richard Dreyfuss says, "This would not be gambling. This would not be gambling. Gambling involves chance. It involves risk. it involves uncertainty. This is simply taking advantage of an extraordinary business opportunity.
Remember something? You gave up gambling.
This isn't gambling. This would not be gambling. Gambling involves risk. It involves chance. It involves uncertainty. This is just taking advantage of an extraordinary business opportunity.
And there are a bunch of different lines like that throughout this whole movie. And it's one of the movies that me and my close friends love to requote. And I'll throw in a couple of them here.
War horse? It's got leprosy.
Well, the coat's a little rough, right?
Why are you talking to people? This is a horse race. This isn't the Olympics.
Sean, I got a bad feeling.
No. In order for you to have a bad feeling, you've got to have had a good feeling, so you have no frame of reference.
May I buy you a drink?
I don't see why not. I'm on the pill.
I'm having a good day.
And it has a bunch of great performances. David Johansen is great as his friend, even more of a loser than he is.
I hate to have to walk around this joint with $700 cash.
710, and you'll never have that problem, because the only reason I won is that you didn't bet. You are the unluckiest person in the world. Am not. Who do you like in a second?
The 6 horse looks pretty good.
Huh? You got a brother?
In Cleveland.
Call him up, ask him who he likes. I figure it's in the blood.
What are you doing? I'm being embalmed if it's any business of yours, which it isn't.
Terry Garr is great as the wife.
I mean, really, I don't see why you people can't just watch the horses run around the track and not bet on them.
Don't give me that money right now. I'm going to cause a scene. Remember your mother's house? The plate glass window?
Okay.
Okay, what?
Okay, I'm going to the men's room.
Why are you going to the men's room?
Let me take my shoes off.
I don't trust you as far as I can throw
You
you!
want to take my shoes off here, do you? You don't want me to make a scene in the jockey club?
Oh, what's his name? Coltrane. What's his what's his name again? He was in Nuns on the Run.
Oh, Robbie Coltrane.
Robbie Coltrane, thank you. He plays a ticket seller. And for Richard Dreyfuss keeps going to him for his betting, to bet on horse races. And at the beginning, obviously, Robbie Coltrane hates him because he's like, he doesn't even think he has the money to make the bet. But by the end, they're like best pals. And
I'll say you're very calm. Most guys come in here, they're ready to gnaw the legs off the tables.
Well, that's because I'm gonna win.
You're a wonderful guy. What a guy.
when he makes this one huge bet where he bets like, I think he bets like 25, the bet where he bets $2,500 on a 40-1 shot. The two of them are just sitting there at the booth, and they both think that that's it. He's pissed away the money. He's going to lose his race.
And how much does 48 $50 tickets on a 3-horse in the 7th race?
48 $50 win tickets on a 3-horse in the 7th race at 25 to 1 will pay you approximately $69,000.
This is a lot of money.
It was a nice run while it lasted, but they're going to lose. And the scene between the two of them is it's actually pretty touching. And Coltrane says, you know, I do this for a living. And I go to one track and one closes, another one opens. And I've met all kinds of characters, but I got to tell you something. You are the champ. You're the best I've ever seen. I'm going to tell my grandkids about you.
And I've met all kinds of characters. But believe me, pal, you are the champ. I really hope you win. You're the greatest I've ever seen. I'll tell my grandchildren about you. Thanks.
And the whole movie is kind of like once that scene is over, the whole track pretty much treats him like dead man walking. Like they've all realized he's made this bet that he can't take back, and he's almost definitely going to lose it. And of course, once he wins that bet, that's when he screams the God likes me part. And like I said, it has a bunch of great scenes in it. Oh, the one person I forgot to mention in all this was Jennifer Tilly. She's not a great actress, actually, but she's incredibly sexy, especially in this movie. They make her into this little vixen. She's so fucking hot. And she's like there to flirt with Richard Dreyfuss throughout the movie. She's incredibly sexy, and she has two great lines. One where she says, where they say, whatever, her boyfriend who was there with her, who's much too old for her, says she has very long legs. And then Jennifer Tilly says, yeah, they go all the way from my ass all the way down to the floor, my legs.
He's got very long legs.
That's right. They go from my ass all the way to the floor. My legs.
And just the way she says it is great. And then the other part that's great is when she comes to see Trotter towards the end of the movie, and she says, oh, I'm getting a little nervous because, you know, I thought that I'd come down here and ask you if you want to go to bed with me because I think it's kind of funny, that's all. And Richard Dreyfuss says, turns to the camera, breaks the fourth wall and says, am I having a good day or what?
You know you're a wonderful girl.
Thank you, Tyler. I'm getting a little nervous now. I was just thinking maybe I would come down and ask you to go to bed with me because I think you're kind of funny, that's all.
Am I having a good day or what?
Wonderful film. I want to do a rewatchables episode on this movie where I'll just go back. Me and Keith will probably go back and rewatch this movie and talk about the best scene and all the different all the best scenes, best quote, and all the different categories they do in rewatchables, because this is a rewatchable movie from start to finish. It is a hidden gem, very obscure. Most people don't know it. I know I took a long time in a movie that nobody's ever seen, but I can't say enough about this movie. I can't recommend it highly enough. Let It Ride, my second favorite film of 1989, right behind Last Crusade, and 14th favorite film of all time, right behind Last Crusade.
Nice.
Okay, so hard to move on from Let It Ride, but let's keep going. The next movie on the list is, again, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, this movie may not be as big as I think it is, but I think it should be pretty big, and it was definitely big at the time, was a movie called The Big Picture with Kevin Bacon. And this is about him. Kevin Bacon is a film school graduate, and he tries to make his first movie and all of the pitfalls that come with him or whatever, a person trying to make their first film. He won an award straight out of film school, and so everybody thinks he's the hot new director, and yet he kind of gets trampled on by the business, and it's kind of a satire, I guess. Do you remember The Big Picture?
I do. I mean, I don't recall much from it. I one of the things I actually remember most about it is there was a lot of hype about the movie, and I think mainly because it was kind of like an inside kind of look at, you know, the way that process works. But I don't remember most of the movie, to be honest.
What's funny is that his friend in the movie is played by Michael McKean, and Michael McKean plays like the cameraman that he knows. And Michael McKean wrote the screenplay for this movie, which I thought was interesting. And this is directed by Christopher Guest, who does a lot of movies that are not very much like this one. You might know Christopher Guest from his other movies that he directed, Waiting for Guffman and Best in Show and A Mighty Wind and For Your Consideration. They're all kind of quirky and have like the same ensemble cast in all of them. And, you know, kind of like... this is Spinal Tap spinoff from all those. He was in that movie too. So that's where people might know Christopher Guest. This movie is a lot different. I guess it's a little bit different from all those other ones. However, there are a lot of interesting people in this movie. J.T. Walsh and Jennifer Jason Leigh and Terry Hatcher, I think, makes her film debut in this movie. And she plays a kind of seductress. And there's a great Martin Short plays Kevin Bacon's agent in this movie. And this is a good Kevin Bacon game kind of movie too, because like I said, there's a lot of different stars that we know from other things that are in this movie. But like I said, it's a not a parody, but it's kind of a satire on movie making. And I love movies about making movies. I've said that before, and I like this one too. It's really funny. It was too big of a movie to leave out. Maybe I was wrong, but I really like it. Okay, so let's keep going. The next movie on this list is Crimes and Misdemeanors. This is a Woody Allen movie, and this is one of the bigger Woody Allen movies. This is one of the highly acclaimed Woody Allen films. This is darker than a lot of other Woody Allen movies. This stars Martin Landau. And Woody Allen is in this movie too, and Mia Farrow and Angelica Houston and Alan Alda. And so there are two stories that are kind of going on simultaneously in this film. Do you remember Crimes and Misdemeanors? I know you're not really well versed in Allen, but
I do. I've seen some Woody Allen movies, but I do believe I have missed this one. Yeah, I mean, I've seen like Purple Rose and a few of the others, but not this one. I don't believe I've seen.
okay. But like I said, this one is one of the highly acclaimed Woody Allen's, and like I said, because it's pretty dark. This one's one of the darker Woody Allen's. There are two, like I said, there's two stories going on simultaneously, parallel stories going on in this movie. One is with Martin Landau, and he is a married man who's having an affair, and he's having an affair with Angelica Houston. And Angelica Houston gives a very good turn as the woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown because she wants Martin Landau to either leave her or to leave his wife. And if he doesn't leave her, then she's going to tell his wife about the affair, and that'll be the end of that. Or she'll commit suicide. That's the other thing she threatens him with. So Martin Landau has got to decide how to deal with Angelica Houston. What
do you want from me? You think this was an easy decision?
I want what you told me you wanted. To be together. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do, Jude. I'll jump out the window, I swear. You've been my whole life for 2 years. I can't go back to the way things were. I was at a low point when I met you. You turned everything around.
I never said I'd leave Miriam. That's wishful thinking on your part.
Yeah.
About his wife finding out. Parallel to this story is Woody Allen. Woody Allen plays a documentary filmmaker, not so far away from who he really is in real life. And he is covering, his film subject is Alan Alda, who portrays in this movie a famous actor. And he's very pompous. Alan Alda is very pompous, very smug. And so Alan has got to mask his contempt because he needs the job, he needs the work, but he doesn't like Alan Alda at all. And he has to try to portray him fairly without letting his views of Alan, who he doesn't like at all, get in the way.
I don't know. Maybe I could use the money to finish my movie. You know, I do have some debts and things. Idea for farce. A poor loser agrees to do the story of a great man's life, and in the process comes to learn deep values.
So these two stories are kind of running parallel to each other. And in the end of the day, Martin Landau has Angelica Houston killed so that she won't talk up about his affair. And at the end, Martin Landau meets Woody Allen, and the two of them talk, and he says, you know what, it would make a great movie. And Martin Landau basically tells him his story. So I guess the assumption is that Alan's character is going to make the movie about Martin Landau's story.
I have a great murder story. Yes? Great plot.
So that's how that movie goes. And it's, like I said, it's funny. Woody Allen is very funny. For all of our talks about how terrible a person Woody Allen is, his movies are really funny. And this movie is also very funny. For as dark as this movie is, this also is really funny. It's tough because you haven't seen it, but it's good. It's very good. It's definitely worth a watch. Like I said, whenever you watch a Woody Allen movie, you have to compartmentalize the man and the work, like we've talked.
Oh yeah, artist and art work. You know, it's always but I have no doubt it's a good movie too. I mean, I really can't say that I really can't think of any movie of his that bombed and you were just like, wow, that didn't work out. But always good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of his films that didn't do well, but usually those are still critically acclaimed because he's great. He's an incredible filmmaker. All right, so the next one is The Fabulous Baker Boys. Now, I put this one in this part because this was a huge movie from this year, mostly because of Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't know if you've seen Fabulous Baker Boys or not.
I did, yes. I saw it maybe once or twice. I know I did see it when it was on cable, but it was definitely it was a good movie.
Jeff Bridges and Beau Bridges play brothers, just like in real life, and they are piano players, and their act is kind of struggling a little bit. And so to liven up the act, they hire and a singer played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And Michelle Pfeiffer, of course, falls for Jeff Bridges in the movie. And so all of the complications with them having a relationship while trying to work together is basically what dominates this film. Of course, Beau Bridges is not as good a piano player as Jeff Bridges is in this movie. And so there's all that. And there's obviously sibling rivalry and jealousy and all the different things. And of course, Jeff Bridges plays the irresponsible one, while Beau Bridges plays the responsible one. So there's a lot of that. But again, the person who really stands out in this film is Michelle Pfeiffer, who still is having a very big moment of her career. At this point, she's probably the most attractive woman in Hollywood, one of the most beautiful women that was ever on screen, probably in the late 1980s. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was one of those things where I think everybody was out to cast her in almost anything they could, and I think even co-stars were kind of like falling over their feet trying to be in movies with her because they knew it would help boost them as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think that people remember the Bridges in this movie at all. This is all Michelle Pfeiffer. This didn't help the Bridges brothers at all. Nobody remembers. The Fabulous Baker Boys. Oh yeah, those are the Bridges brothers. Yeah, no. Everybody remembers Michelle Pfeiffer in this film. So there's some good songs. I mean, it's a good act, I guess. And Michelle Pfeiffer has got, like I said, she's got some standout moments in this movie, but the plot is inconsequential. It's just an excuse to show how beautiful Michelle Pfeiffer is. But too big of a movie to leave off the list. Now, this was a movie I was going to leave off the list until I remembered what it was, and that you were probably going to put it either as one of your top 10 films or one of your honorable mentions. And you did, in fact, put it as one of your honorable mentions because there was a Halloween movie made in this year. And we all know what that means. That means that Edward is going to talk about another Halloween movie. This was Halloween number
5.
That's right.
The Revenge of Michael Myers. They went with a little bit of a trilogy there and continued and kind of borrowed the names of the Pink Panther films with Return, Revenge, and Curse of Michael Myers. But 5, and I love these Halloween films, and I would love to have put it somewhere in my top 10 there. But the problem with the movie is it completely it took a reversal from the previous film story and kind of just went off on its own direction, but not without being a decent movie. I mean, it's a good film. You really can't fault Danielle Harris, the young star of the movie. At the time, I think she was 8 or 9. Pulling off some scenes that a child actor should really probably not be pulling off some acting. And part of that movie, she has kind of like a disorder where she can't speak. So a lot of that is just emoting through the scenes. Really? So, there's a lot to like about the movie. There's a lot of people who will, trash on it and bag on it, and it's got its problems without a doubt. But there's a lot of good performances in the movie and a fairly decent story. Hard to scare up scares when the franchise keeps going, but I do enjoy it.
I thought there must have been something really wrong with this movie for you not to put it on your top 10. I was shocked. But of course, you snuck it in there in your honorable mentions. I'm like, oh, there it is. I knew it was gonna show up somewhere. I thought you were gonna do a whole thing about how there was a Halloween and you didn't put it on your list.
No, there's no Halloween movie I do not like at all. I mean, but certainly, they had such a big ending for the last one, and you really thought they were going to build on that, and they kind of did a reversal. They kind of had her attack her mother, or stepmother, or her foster mother. At the end of the last film, and you thought that's the direction they were going in, and they completely just reversed it and kind of trashed that storyline in favor of like a bit of more mystical element of them having a psychic connection. And while it's not a bad film, it does fall flat on most people's reviews.
All right. So I never saw it, and I know that it's, I've said this before. Horror movies really aren't my tempo, but so I can't comment on a movie I haven't seen. So the next movie I have seen, and most people have seen this movie, and this was, remember we were talking at the beginning about whether a movie is really good or whether we just remember it as being really good. And I think this is one that we might remember it being better than it is, and that is Look Who's Talking. And this was a big movie from this year. This is not on your top 10 list, is it? Or is it?
It is, yeah, number 9.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so I'm sorry. I don't have your list in front of me. But yes, okay, so fine. So you really do think this is a good movie. I thought this was a good movie. Like as I said, kind of remembering like the memory of this movie was better than the movie itself. But since it's on your top 10 list, you're good to go ahead on Look Who's Talking.
Yeah, I think what a lot of it is, and I will admit it's sort of a one-trick pony that's pretty much been played out at this point in time, of having something that doesn't talk, being able to have a voice and talk, be it animal, child, whatever the deal is, something along those lines, and giving it its own voice and commentary. But at the time, it was a fairly, not used concept. And it had a pretty good cast. I mean, Bruce Willis was funny as hell in the movie, and so was John Travolta and Kirstie Alley. They've got that great dance number in the middle of the movie where they dance to, just trying to, get the kid to do what they're eat the food and stuff like that.
Yep.
And
Now that's entertainment.
it's a pretty good love story too, and a lot of odd performances in it that you don't really expect, like Olympia Dukakis and Abe Vigoda. They all have some pretty good moments in the movie that just ends up being a fun movie from beginning to end.
George Siegel plays a great shit. He's a great shit heel in this film.
Yes,
the man who impregnates Kirstie Alley.
I know this sounds awful, but I'm going through a selfish phase right now.
Selfish face?
I admit the timing is bad.
A selfish face?
It's not like I planned on it, it just happened.
A selfish face, Albert, you dick, stupid dick.
Yeah.
This was Kirstie Alley on Cheers yet?
I don't believe.
I think she was. No, I think she was. It's 89. So Cheers ended in 90. Cheers ended like in 91 or 92. So
yeah, she had
she had to have been on Cheers by then. So yeah, so she was in the height of her popularity, and Travolta was going through a string of movies where he danced in every single movie that he was in. They found an excuse to make sure that Travolta danced, and I don't know how many. I never counted, but it must have been like 7 or 8 movies in a row where they put something in it where Travolta gets to dance in the movie. They wanted to make sure that he danced in it. That went all the way through to Pulp Fiction, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yes, and everything. But you said the big gimmick of this movie is the voice of Bruce Willis, being the baby's voice, and that's what's really funny about this film.
Oh, look at that! Another little arm coming in down there. What's it doing way down there? Now, how am I going to get that in my mouth?
However funny this movie is, it's all Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that's not all Bruce Willis. I mean, Travolta has a couple of funny moments, and Kirstie Alley, again, she's playing a woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown for some of this movie too.
That's it. You have some exotic baby disease, and I look like I could play the lead in Night of the Living Dead, and your father deserted us so that he could pork his interior decorator. I think you can safely say that it can't get any worse. I was wrong.
But I think the real standout comedically is Bruce Willis, like you said, because this was the first time that a baby really talked in a movie.
Okay, I got another one. Stop me if you heard it. How many babies does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
What's a light bulb? I don't get it.
And so we got to hear him talk. And I know my father, God bless him, after he saw this film, every time we would see video of a baby talking after, like if somebody made a home movie and they had babies on it that were talking, he would be in the background while we were watching it, doing a Bruce Willis, like imagining what the baby is thinking, as if we're watching another version of Look Who's Talking. He would totally parody Look Who's Talking. I don't know if you were ever witness to one of these moments when we were watching.
I don't believe I have. No.
Oh man, you missed out, because there were a bunch of different videos where somebody's like showing us home videos of their kids or their babies, whatever, and my dad is doing I can't even do it. I wish I had a recording of him doing that, because it was he tried to do like a Bruce Willis, because he was so enamored with the idea of, oh, you know what? You could just kind of put a voiceover on the baby and all of his expressions and everything, and that would be hilarious, and it is. So there's that great moment when Kirstie Alley brings the baby to meet George Siegel for the first time, and you hear Bruce Willis talking, and he's looking around, and he goes, "Oh, look at all those little Indian men. Oh, where am I going to put those?" And he sees a wall socket. "Oh, there you go. I'll put them right in that little wall socket there."
Hey, look at this room. Hey, look at these guys. I bet I could take those apart. That doesn't look too... Hey, little metal things. Where can I stick them? Oh, right there in those little holes.
And then there's this one moment where he poops in his diaper, and he goes, "Ugh, oh God, too much fruit." And then George Segal goes, "Did he just poop?" And then Kirstie Alley says, "No, he's just thinking really hard."
Too much fruit. Well, it wouldn't be fair to Mikey. Is he taking a dump?
No, he's thinking real hard.
So funny. There's a couple of there are a couple of good moments in this movie. There's also one tender moment, a couple of tender moments in this movie too, when Travolta is talking to Mikey, the little boy, about like fatherly advice when he thinks he's about to get kicked out of Mikey's life and everything. That's a good scene. And I might put a snippet of that in here too.
When I was 3, right? He said, don't hit girls even if they're asking for it. What do you say about pushing them?
And later on, I just want to say, hey, finish your meat. You know how much that cost? And, let's see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The one that sticks out the most, though, was probably, if you're friends, if they jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, does that mean you got them? And I still use that one to this very day. I still use that piece of advice.
She called me a big kid. Yeah, she's probably right. I mean, you're 1 year old and probably my best friend in the world.
But it's a cute movie, and it's, I don't know, it's not really a great love story, but it's, like I said, it's cute, it's fun, it's funny. I don't think it's a great movie, but it's the 4th highest grossing film from 1989. Cannot leave it off this list.
Yeah.
So that was Look Who's Talking. All right, so the next movie is a movie that a lot of people haven't seen. However, it was, hang on. It was not. Oh, yeah, it was. It was nominated for Best Picture. And that is My Left Foot, starring Daniel Day-Lewis. Now, I'm guessing this is kind of artsy-fartsy. So and it's not really your tempo. So you may have heard of this movie, but probably haven't seen it, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm familiar that I know it was a big film around Oscar time. I know there was a lot of buzz about, Gerard Depardieu winning or being nominated and the film being nominated. So
no, it's not Gerard Depardieu. It's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis, thank you.
Okay.
But yes, I do remember there was a very big buzz about it in awards season.
So this is a movie that's based on the memoirs of Christy Brown. Now, Christy Brown was a painter, and he painted with his left foot because he couldn't move most of the rest of his body. He had a very difficult time speaking, and that's where Daniel Day-Lewis's performance really shines, because he does the voice really well. It's a very difficult voice to listen to, actually. And he's playing this, I don't know, is it, I guess maybe a quadriplegic, but partial. He's not. He has very limited function, but mostly he can just move his left foot. And he's bitter about it, and so he has that in his personality. Brenda Fricker plays his, plays his mother in this movie, and I think she gets nominated for Best Supporting Actress in this movie. I'm almost positive she does. Let me see. Yes, she does. She wins. I'm sorry, she doesn't just get nominated; she wins Best Supporting Actress for My Left Foot. So Daniel Day-Lewis wins Best Actor, and Brenda Fricker wins Best Supporting Actress. And the big deal about this, I always remember, is that Daniel Day-Lewis, although he is one of the greatest actors ever, and certainly the best actor of our generation, beat Tom Cruise for Best Actor, because a lot of people thought that Tom Cruise was going to win Best Actor for this year, for a movie we'll talk about in just a little bit. And instead, it went to Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot. And the story goes that right after they announced Best Actor, that Tom Cruise left the Oscars. That he didn't wait to the end of the show, and that the word was, even though they never saw it on screen, that he just immediately after he lost, he got up and left. Which I guess I could buy that. I don't know if that's just legend or what, but that's the story behind that moment. And that's the thing that really sticks out for me with My Left Foot. I've seen the movie a couple of times, and I really like the performance by Daniel Day-Lewis, who I can't say enough about because the man is a chameleon. The one thing about Daniel Day-Lewis is that I don't know his personality at all. I don't know if anybody does. I'm not sure that many people know who Daniel Day-Lewis really is outside of his performances. He disappears in every role that he's in so much that I don't really think he has a personality of his own. I can imagine him not having one at all, that he's just whoever he is portraying for the movie that he's working on. And he only works on a movie like every 5 or 6 years. So I can't imagine who Daniel Day-Lewis is outside of the movie. I can't imagine like meeting him and having a conversation with him where he's not in character, because he's just such a method actor, and he's been so identified as the people he's portrayed in these films that you get that same sense about Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yeah, I can honestly see that. I mean, and maybe that's just because he manages to keep a low profile outside. I mean, he's not one of these celebrities who is in the news often. I mean, you don't really hear much about him, and that could be because he's just maybe it's a carefully plotted idea. Maybe he's just a very personal person, and that's why his outside of film life is the way it is. But it certainly, I think it even helps the mystique of anything he's going to play, because you're waiting to see what he pulls out of the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like I said, he's so identified with his characters, the people that he creates. And he's not my favorite actor, although I know that he's the best actor. You know what I mean? Just that's how convincing he is in everything that he's in. And some of his performances are some of the best I've ever seen. I think his portrayal of Lincoln is maybe one of the best of our lifetime. That's how good he was in that movie. But I don't always enjoy, because I can't identify with him as much. You know what I mean? Because there's no personality for me to identify with outside of his films. But good movie. No, sorry, very good movie. My Left Foot. Tough to watch because of all the limitations to the main character, and so you kind of struggle along with him. So it's not the easiest watch, not the most enjoyable watch, but definitely a excellent movie that is worthy of its Best Picture nomination. All right, so the next movie I got to put on this part and is an animated movie, and probably the biggest animated movie. Yes, it definitely is the biggest animated movie of 1989, and that was The Little Mermaid. And The Little Mermaid is a Disney movie, and this was kind of like a return of form for Disney. Disney had done a couple of stinkers, like movies that just did not do well, and this was really a return of form. This started a run for Disney. There was, I want to do this right. I want to do this in the right order. Little Mermaid, and what's after Little Mermaid? Is it Beauty and the Beast right after that?
I believe so.
So I think it's Little Mermaid. I want to say Beauty and the Beast, but I may be getting that wrong. I'll correct it later if I am. Aladdin, Lion King, right? Those 4 in a row. I've got that's a murderer's row of animated movies, one after the other after the other. So they were really going through a great run of films, starting with this one. And the songs are excellent. This wins Best Song in the Movie. And the standouts are the crab. I don't really know. I mean, I know the actors' names, but I'm not even going to mention them because they're just all voiceover actors that we don't really know outside of their voices. But like I said, the songs in this movie are really good. It's fun. What's your memory of Little Mermaid? How well do you remember? Did you show this to your niece or nephew?
Yeah, I do recall watching it with my niece from time to time, and it's a good film, and I think a lot of it works on the basis of that. They kept it fairly simple. I mean, I think a lot of the films they had done up until then kind of, they were free writing, and they really weren't necessarily hitting the points that were family. They had lost touch with what a family film was at the time. They were still kind of stuck where they were. And I think when Little Mermaid came in, they literally just kind of they found it. They found it again. They hit that groove again where they went, all right, now we know maybe not every child is going to like The Little Mermaid, but I think they hit something big in the concept of we're going to really sell this hard to young girls. And they managed to make a great script. They managed to have great songs in it, and they really just all the pieces fell together finally again. And it's a fun movie. I mean, a little dated in some of its in some of its statements in terms of she has to give up her voice to become a human, weird stuff like that, but it just resonates with audiences.
Was this a Hans Christian Andersen tale originally? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I know that the original story is much darker than the animated movie.
Oh yeah. Well, that's in the case in most of these movies that come from that sort of genre. It's always a lot darker.
But I think this is a Hans Christian Andersen originally. I don't think it's a Brothers Grimm. I think it's a famous fairy tale, and that's Disney did. Yeah, it's Hans Christian Andersen. Yeah, I had a feeling.
Fairy Tale by Hans Christian Andersen.
There you go. See, I knew I remembered that, right? Okay, great. All right, so the next movie on the list is Back to the Future 2. There were, like I said, 25 different sequels in this year, and this was the biggest one. This is the third highest grossing movie from 1989. Now, Back to the Future came out, the original Back to the Future came out in 1985. And at the end, right at the end of the original Back to the Future, there's a little thing at the end of the screen that says, "To be continued." And so since 1985, we had been waiting around for them to continue the Back to the Future series, and they didn't. So they finally give us Back to the Future 2 in 1989. And at the very end of Back to the Future 2, they not only show that there is going to be a conclusion to Back to the Future 3, but they show us the preview. They show the trailer to Back to the Future 3 right before the credits to Back to the Future 2. Do you remember that?
Yes, I honestly think that may be unheard of. I don't know if it's been done since ever, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I'm sure it may have been done since, but it definitely was the first time they'd ever done it. They'd never shown the preview for the next movie. They do that in TV shows, obviously, on a regular basis, but I don't think I'd ever seen that done in a movie before. But the point of it was that they were trying to make sure you knew you don't have to wait 4 years for the next sequel. We've done it already. We filmed it already. It's in the can. It's ready to go. If they had wanted to, they probably could have just started 3 right as you could have been still sitting in the theater for 2, and they could have started 3 right away. But for marketing reasons, to make as much money as possible, they made us wait a whole other summer before Back to the Future 3 came out. Yeah. But they had finished it. Apparently, it certainly looked that they had finished it already from how well the preview looked. It looked like it was a finished product. So that was way ahead of its time. Zemeckis comes back and directs this. It's they bring back a lot of the same people from Back to the Future 1, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, and Leah Thompson. And who's the guy who plays Biff? Thomas F. Wilson? Is that that's the guy who plays Biff? Another great bad guy from 1989, from 1980s bad guy. So the big deal about Back to the Future 2 was that they switched Jennifers. Now, if you ever saw Back to the Future 1, you know who Jennifer's played by one woman. And in Back to the Future 2, they famously changed the part of Jennifer to Elizabeth Shue. And this was our introduction to Elizabeth Shue, I think, for most of us. Right? You never heard of Elizabeth Shue before Back to the Future 2, right?
I don't really recall anything. I mean, there might have been something that she was in that I just don't recall, but this was probably one of the bigger highlights to push her, where she was on in people's views.
Yeah, this is her breakout role. If she may have been in something earlier than this, but she had never broken out before this movie. So anyway, they wanted her in this movie so badly, apparently, and good on Zemeckis for discovering Elizabeth Shue and putting her in this movie. But in order to put her in this movie, they had to refilm the end of Back to the Future 1. Yeah. And so they reshot the last scene of Back to the Future 1 and just replaced the woman playing Jennifer with Elizabeth Shue. And I got to tell you, I've seen this movie a bunch of times. It is beat for beat accurate to the first time, to the end of the first movie. If you play them, next to each other, aside from the fact that Elizabeth Shue is playing Jennifer, it's almost I think it's perfectly identical.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a slight heartbeat longer when he says, "What do we become, assholes?" And Christopher Lloyd kind of pauses like for a heartbeat longer.
Really?
But it's very hard to determine. I mean, but it is almost like you said, identical shot for shot.
Yeah, I don't know how long they took them to get that exactly right. Today, they probably could have just lifted the old Jennifer out with a green screen or something, like digitally taken her out, and digitally had put in Elizabeth Shue, and nobody would have had to go through the trouble. So they just could have used the original film. Michael J. Fox is blessed with the fact that he had a baby face. So even though this was 4 years later, he still looks exactly the same as he did in part 1, I think. And Christopher Lloyd looks exactly the same too as an old man. He was an old man for many, many years. I think he was an old man in Taxi. Yeah. That's how old Christopher Lloyd has looked most of his life. They even make a joke about in part 2 of Back to the Future, where Christopher Lloyd gets a facelift, and he like had a mask over his facelift, and so he peels it off for Marty because he didn't want him to be shocked with his new face, and it looks exactly the same. So even trying to make him look younger, he looks identical to how he looks in real life. So I thought that was a clever joke. Anyway, as pointed out at the end of Back to the Future 1, they have to go to the future. They have to go back to the future, get it, to fix something in Marty's family. His son apparently is about to go down a life of crime, which completely unravels his entire family. And so Doc Brown takes him and Jennifer, only because she happened to see the DeLorean at the time, back to the future to try to stop future Marty from Marty's son from making this huge mistake and going down a life of crime. Anyway, Biff, an older Biff in the future, 2015, by the way, I think, wasn't that the year that they had to go travel to, right? And there was a whole big deal about how none of the advancements that were in Back to the Future 2 actually came true in 2015, but that's a discussion for a whole other podcast. But old Biff in 2015 recognizes the DeLorean from 1985, and while Marty and Doc are trying to fix Marty's future, his kids, Biff steals the time machine and goes back to 1955 with this sports almanac that Marty was going to use when he went back to the past to win himself a lot of money. So old Biff steals his idea, gives it back to his younger self in the 50s, in 1955, right before the school dance that is from the original movie. And he becomes a millionaire, and it creates this dystopian 1985 where it's like Blade Runner all of a sudden in 1985, right? It's like everybody is shooting each other, and there's bars in the window, and there's like gang violence. And meanwhile, Biff has created like an Atlantic City on the brinks of Hill Valley. And he's married to Marty's mom, and he kills Marty's dad and all this other stuff. So Marty's got to steal the book back in the past, back in 55, before Biff has a chance to use it in the first place. So it's great. I love this film. I love all the fact that we get the present, the future, and the past all in this one film. It pales in comparison to the classic status of the first one, but this is still a great film. I want to see, did you put this on? No, you did not. You did not have this on your list either. I don't have this on my list either, which surprised me because I love this film. I love the whole series. And 2 is a step down from the first one, but not a big step down.
No, yeah, by far. I mean, as this trilogy rolls along, all 3 films are solid films, but each film is a small succession down from the original, only because the original is literally just magic.
Yeah, that's classic status. One of the great films ever made. And But Marty's funny again. Like Michael J. Fox is still funny. Michael J. Fox has this ability to be simultaneously the coolest person in the room and yet uncomfortable. Like he has some of these moments where he just feels totally out of place, feels not like a nerd, but definitely like out of place and uncomfortable with his surroundings. And at other times, he's just the coolest person ever. And he's probably the shortest action star in the history of all films, right? He does all these action scenes, and he's so good at whatever, I don't know. The action scenes are clever and interesting. I love the way that Zemeckis mixes the comedy and the action in all three of these movies. But Marty is just so capable as an action figure, and for somebody who's so short, they really make him incredibly coordinated. Great, skateboarder, right? He invents he invents skateboarding in the first one, right? Yep. And he invents rock and roll at the end of the first one and everything. And he gets to use this time in the future, he gets to use the hoverboard instead of, so they steal a lot of beats from the first one, kind of callbacks. There are a lot of callbacks to the original in this one, but this is a really fun ride. This is maybe just as fun as the first movie. The first one's a little bit darker, a little bit more serious, but really good, really solid film. And if you haven't seen all the Back to the Futures, they're a good watch back to back to back. I think it's a good triple feature.
I always enjoy Michael J. Fox actually doing triple duty in that, as not only as himself but as his son and his daughter as well. I mean, he does his daughter bit so badly that it actually makes you laugh.
They make him look like that's very believable that's what his daughter would look like.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was
I think about it, he does 4 parts really, because he also plays himself as
an older self.
Yeah,
he's an older guy. Yeah, that's true. So that's cool. And there's a great moment when Elizabeth Shue meets her older self, and she meets herself at the door, and one of the older ones says, "I'm young," and the other one says, the younger one says, "I'm old," and they both pass out. It's a good turn. There may be some good lines in this movie. I'll go rewatch it and put something in here if it needs it.
Is it ready?
Here you go.
Oh boy, Mom, you sure can hydrate a pizza.
This guy's chased me to the gym and they're gonna jump. Me, then get out of there. No, Doc, not me. The other me, the one that's up on stage playing Johnny B. Good.
Great Scott, you're the self who missed the lightning bolt with the clock tower. You won't get back to the future. We'll have a major paradox.
Wait, a paradox? You mean one of those things that can destroy the universe?
Precisely. Marty, you have to stop those guys at all costs, but without being seen by your other selves or your parents.
10-4. No! Hey, no! Hey, Greg, you come with us upstairs.
There you go, Sonny. We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
The easy way. Very nice. Thank you very much. Now, why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
It's leave, you idiot. Make like a tree and leave. You sound like a damn fool when you say it wrong.
All right, then, leave.
So this is the first time that I'm going to end one of these episodes on a clip and not just with us talking. But yeah, this is the end of part 3 of this conversation I've had with Edward Schilling on the movie year that was 1989. We'll should come back with one more and just be able to wrap it up with all the categories that we do after talking about all the movies. Now, a couple of things that I wanted to correct. I haven't been doing my corrections in the other 2 parts, so I'm just going to catch up on some of the things that we've got wrong during this episode. And the biggest one was from this episode when Edward and I totally forgot that Elizabeth Shue had been in other movies before Back to the Future Part 2. Obviously, she was in Karate Kid, which that was her most famous part up till then. That was from 1984, so it was way, way before Back to the Future Part 2. She was also in Adventures in Babysitting in 1987, so that was a huge, huge oversight on our part. I don't know why I just completely blanked on the rest of Elizabeth Shue's career when I was talking about her in Karate Kid in Back to the Future Part 2. But so I definitely had to make sure that I fixed that. I mentioned that Alan Alda, I mentioned when I was talking about Crimes and Misdemeanors, I said that he portrayed a famous actor in the movie, but he's actually portraying a famous filmmaker, just like Woody Allen's a filmmaker. Alan Alda is also a filmmaker, just a much more successful one. So I had gotten that wrong. And earlier when I was talking about Field of Dreams, I said when we were talking about Doc Graham, at one point I said Doc Brown. I must have been thinking about Back to the Future. So I changed Doc Graham to Doc Brown. So I wanted to make sure I fixed that. Also, when we was talking about Weekend at Bernie's, we were trying to remember where they went for the weekend at Bernie's, and it was a place called Hampton Island. So that's where they went. They took the ferry to Hampton Island in Weekend at Bernie's. But the biggest thing, and this was not a mistake, but this was something that I definitely wanted to mention because it happened after we recorded this episode, but before I finished editing it, and that was that we lost Robbie Coltrane just recently. Now, Robbie Coltrane is most famous for his part as Hagrid in the Harry Potter movies, but I know him more for his role in Let It Ride, and that's what we were talking about in this episode. We're talking about Robbie Coltrane as a ticket seller in Let It Ride, and that's always going to be how I remember him. But this was the first time that an actor or actress had died that we had just spoke about in one of these episodes, and so I wanted to mention that here. So hopefully this will just be one more episode long. I think it will. I'm almost sure that it will be just one more episode long, and I certainly hope that you come back for the exciting conclusion of the movie year that was 1989. See you soon.